Hey guys, my name is Coco, and this is technically week 5 of my web show, Stumbling into Success, but this is kind of going off the regular thing. We're just taking like a brief lore intermission. Something has been like calling me and telling me that it's time for me to share this story, even though it happened years ago. It's something I still struggle with. Obviously, if you read the title, you have an idea of what it's about. So again, trigger warning if you get triggered by sexual assault. Also, I have a couple asks if you do watch this video. Please do not talk about this with my mom and dad and siblings. Like, you could discuss it with whoever else, just not them, please. And also not me. It's an extremely triggering topic, and I'm trying to get a counselor again that since it is on the internet, there is a chance that my family members may see it, and I highly recommend not watching it. My family knows the situation happened, but they don't know the details. And I'm going to get into the details in this video, and I know they love and care about me a lot, so I do not think it would be good for them to continue watching. I know myself, I definitely, if I lived in ancient Greek times, I would have been turned to stone because I would have like had to peek at Medusa. So I feel like there is a chance my family's gonna watch it. Another thing, it took me a really long time to tell my story because it was something that I was like really ashamed of and something that I didn't want people to know about. And then another thing, I was really worried about people believing me, but I don't really care if people believe me. It just, I need to say it for myself, and in case, like, I think I've said before, I need to be the person that I needed when I was little or when I was struggling, and that's 100% what I'm being right now by like coming out and sharing my story. I decided a couple days ago that I was gonna make this video, so I have been crying the past few days. So I think I probably got it all out of my system and I'll be pretty composed. I think I'll be good. I have this like security blanket on me, and I feel good. I'm not really sure where to start. I guess like some context, like I have my first boyfriend when I was 19. When I was 20, he cheated on me, and that sucked, but it got a fire under me to like start working out and apply for the Disney college program. I didn't apply for the Disney college program because he cheated on me. It was something that I always wanted to do, and I was really insecure. So like looking back at a lot of these things, I'm just like, wow, you're so dumb. You're such an idiot. But like, I'm gonna tell you guys the story. I'm gonna tell you the whole truth. I don't care how dumb of a bitch I look. Like, this is what happened. So I go to the program. I'm getting a lot of attention from boys, but I was never interested in the hookup culture. I was on the Disney college program. Like, I wanted my Prince Eric to my Ariel, okay? I wanted the Flynn Rider to my Rapunzel. I wanted the Kristoff to my Anna. I wasn't interested in like hookup culture. And when I got there, I met my first fuckboy, which I didn't know was a fuckboy. He just seemed really interested in me. It's because he wanted to have sex with me. We're gonna call him Maple. So I hooked up with Maple, and then I realized that he didn't want anything to do with me, so that sucked and was so radical. I was really sad about the whole Maple situation. He introduced me to his friend Ricardio, and they were all fuckboys. And I don't know why I was so naive and dumb that I was like, oh, I could change him. I could make him want to settle down. I need you to understand that this man had a flag from every nationality of women that he slept with, like hanging on his wall proudly like a trophy. So yeah, wrong choice. I don't know what I thought I was doing there. There's a little painting of the type of people I was hanging out with. Fast forward, I started the program in August. This happened in like April, March. I met this guy, we're gonna call him Mac. We weren't dating, but I thought we were a thing because we would like go to the parks and like I'd sleep over and Ricardio would only like hit me up so stereotypically at like 3 a.m. But Mac talked to me when the sun was out and we hung out in public. So I just thought me and Mac were a thing. Mac was on the culinary program. So his program was a different time than the college program. So his program was coming to an end. And Ricardio threw like these house parties. So Ricardio was hosting a going away party for Mac. The plan was I was supposed to go to Mac's party, and then afterwards I was supposed to stay over at Mac's house because that was the last night that we could cuddle. So the party's going on, I don't really know anyone, and then on top of it, like everyone's just speaking Spanish and I don't know Spanish. So I was like, okay, yeah. So I didn't really have anything to contribute to the party. I'm like, hey Mac, I am going to take a nap in one of these rooms. And he's like, oh, okay. The rooms are usually off limits during the parties. No one really goes in there. So I was like, oh, I'll be good. I'll take a nap. Just like wake me up when it's time to go. So I go into the room. I go to sleep. And I don't know how long I was sleeping, but I was like in deep sleep. Mac's roommate Cheese comes in. And he like walks up and takes my hand and puts it on his privates. And not on his like raw privates, like on his privates, like through his pants, like it was hard through his pants. And I've never been in a situation where I was touching like hard genitals that wasn't of someone I was consensually with. So my instant reaction to feeling hard genitals was to like start playing with it. And I was like half asleep, like I didn't really know what was going on. So when I started doing that, he stuck his fingers inside me and that like jolted me awake. And I didn't know what to do. And I didn't even realize like at the time that I was like assaulted. I just knew that I didn't want to do that. And I felt like it was my fault because I started touching him and I was giving him the wrong idea, and I just didn't want it to continue. Like whatever was going on, I just needed it to stop. So I like turn around, face the wall, and just like pray that he will go away and pretend to sleep, and he leaves. A little bit after that, I like yeet out of there, and I go to Mac and I tell him what happens. And Mac was just like, oh, I'll make sure to talk to him because like that's not cool, whatever. And I still didn't realize that I was assaulted. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he did that to Mac. Like, it's Mac's last day. Like, how could he do that to him at his party? Like, I was more concerned about, like, these boys instead of myself. And I stayed awake, and I just kind of was like, doo, 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 doo. I didn't leave. I still stayed there. And I just assumed Mac talked to Cheese. The party ended. Cheese had a car, so Cheese drove us to go get pizza, and they lived together. So I went back with them, and we were at their place, and I was just eating pizza casually with someone who assaulted me essentially in my sleep. And I'm not trying to get into conspiracy theories, and because like what, I'm not going to torture myself like trying to figure out what was going on, but like part of me feels like Mac was in on it or something, because the whole reason that I even stayed there, but it was the Disney complex. I could have just walked back to my place, but I didn't. He said, I still have some packing to do. why don't you sleep on the couch? And I was like, okay. So I go to sleep on the couch, and then in the middle of the night, Cheese was on top of me. And I just remember being like so confused and just like, all I wanted was to get out of there. That's the only thing I wanted, was to just get out. And he was a really big guy, and I've always heard stories about like women rejecting men and then them just like freaking out and doing weird things. So like for my own safety, like I didn't want to try to do anything because I know he could hurt me so easily. And Mac was in the other room, and I used to beat myself up all the time because I'm like, why didn't I scream? Like, why didn't I scream? Why didn't I say anything? I was just there. And so Cheese literally, he's like telling me, he's like, I have to be with you, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I wasn't like physically crying, but I feel like there's no way that I wasn't upset. I'm like, dude, why me? Why does it have to be me? Like all these other girls, these girls at the party clearly liked you. Like they were flirting with you all night. Like why do you need me so bad? And he's like, oh yeah, I just need your body. And it's just like, I kept trying to talk him out of it. Like, no, you don't, like, and he just like wouldn't leave. So I was like, what? I didn't know how to get out of this situation. So I just took my underwear off and like let him do his thing so he would go away. And I was worried more about these boys than I was myself, because I was like, how awkward would it be if I screamed and I ruined Max last night here? It's just so messed up to say, because it's like, they probably don't even remember this, but I've had countless nightmares about it, and it's just like fucked up. And like to add to it, he left a huge hickey on my neck. So when I went to work the next day, all the people at work were like commenting on it, my whole shift. They're like, ooh, looks like you had a fun night. Trying to be cheeky about someone getting sexually assaulted, and I know you don't know that, but like holy hell. And the amount of times that I like threw up so much. My stomach was so upset, and it got to the point where I couldn't throw up anymore. And I just had constant like stomach problems from it, and it was like going on for like 4 days now. And Cheese hits me up and was just like, oh, I think this is all a misunderstanding. Like, oh, I heard from some of the boys the things that you were saying, and I never meant to like hurt you or do anything like that to you. Just like, please hear me out. And I would never do anything. I would never take advantage of someone. So I just wanted so badly to believe that this person wouldn't do that. There had to be some misunderstanding. I wanted to believe that so bad. So I was just like, sure. And that's the thing. Like, I watched the show Baby Reindeer, and I watched it with my mom, and I remember she was just calling him like such a weirdo and freak, and like, why would you go back to the person who abused you? But I guess it's like a common occurrence. Like that's a thing that people do. And obviously everyone has different reasons, but that's something I did because I just didn't want to believe it. And I went back and we talked it out, and I just let him convince me that it was a misunderstanding and he thought I was playing hard to get. And I just didn't want things to be weird. And I hung out with him multiple times after that. And you know, the craziest part, I didn't even tell you this. After he convinced me that it was just a misunderstanding, he leans in to kiss me. And I was like, what? Are you fucking serious right now? And I don't know what was going on in my head, but I just went along with it. And then I went home and I was like, I can't report that I've been assaulted. Because how is anyone going to believe that I was assaulted and then had consensual sex a few days later with the person who assaulted me? No one is going to believe me. I would hear people talking. I would hear whispers. They'd be like, oh, why does it even matter? She's so horny. Why does it matter whose fingers or like private parts are inside her? And I truly believe that. I let them convince me that is a valid thing to say. I let them convince me that I was a hoe and that he was entitled to having me and doing what he wanted with me, which wasn't true. So I just never reported it. My conclusion that I came to with why I ended up having sex with him was I felt like maybe if I consent this time, this could take away the fact that I said no the first time. But that's not how that works. It's not how that works. And I played so many mind games trying to convince myself that it's an okay thing. And the craziest thing is, again, I was at Disney when this was happening. They have a 3 o'clock parade every day. They have fireworks every night. They have roller coasters and food and so many things. I kept myself distracted and I didn't think about it. I would have stomach pains, but that's all. But then it's like when my program ended and I came home, it's like everything came crashing in at once. And I just did not feel safe anywhere. I would just have like emotional outbursts all the time. And I don't even know what was going on like cognitively for me, because I was just jumping to these insane conclusions all the time, because shortly after COVID happened, and I really had this grand delusion that it was my fault COVID happened. And because I was already self-isolating, all I did was sit at home and not go near people. And now people couldn't come near me because we had to stay 6 feet apart. And I just had this delusion that I created COVID. And I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know. That's my story. I don't really know how to end this. Obviously now I know I didn't create COVID. Obviously now I know it doesn't matter if I touched him or whatever. It's still not consent. It's still not okay. But I don't know. It's really hard, and it's so corny, dude. It's so corny. I hate hating men, dude. I hate hating men, and this whole thing just makes me like hate men and be scared of men. I really need to heal that. I really need to heal it. I think it's so corny, the battle of the sexes, like. And I don't want people to be like, oh, it's valid that you're scared of men. Like, yeah, it's valid for people to be scared of cars and never set foot in a car, but like, girl, I got places to be. You know, like, I can't be so paralyzed by fear, you know? The whole thing really came in and just like destroyed my sense of self. And I had really bad coping mechanisms. Like, I was like, oh, if everyone thinks I'm a hoe, like it can't hurt me if they call me a hoe, if I just become a hoe, if I own it, you know? So I was hooking up with random people. Thankful I didn't get like addicted to drugs or something because of it. And I stayed safe and I didn't get pregnant. And I feel scared and not safe in my body. And if anyone's like, oh, what kind of superpower do you wish you could have? I want to build like a force field, like basically just like live in a snow globe where no one can touch me, no one can hurt me. And I don't know if I've put on all this weight because that's the closest I could get to building a force field around me. I don't know, but I do know all this extra weight is just shame and guilt. I just want to get this off of me. And I have like this self-sabotaging thing where it's like every time I start to lose weight, like I'll lose like 10 pounds and then I'll just like binge eat. I'll eat like 10 ice cream cones. I'll stop exercising because it's just like on a subconscious level, even though I'm aware of all this stuff, I think I'm still terrified. I'm definitely still struggling with it. It's not at the extremes because I felt like I didn't deserve love, and I really struggled with like imposter syndrome. Like when people would say nice things about me, I would just hear all these like terrible things about me, and I'm like, oh, if they knew this, they would like think less of me. Just in the media and stuff, you always see sexual assault as something that's super forced and violent and they're fighting back, and I didn't do any of that. And it always made me feel like, oh, it could have been much worse. Oh, you could have just stopped it. And it's just because it's not as violent doesn't mean it's not like, doesn't mean that it's not extremely violating. And like, I think it's important that I tell my story because my story is not one that's really told all that much. And I just want to be that person who I needed when I went through it. I just needed to know that I wasn't alone. I felt even more guilt for being so traumatized by the whole event when it's like not even a big deal, because it is a big deal. And it's one of those things that it doesn't matter. Assault could happen to anyone of any gender, any race, like rich or poor. And I think it's an important thing to talk about. And you're not alone. And please, please, please do not suffer in silence. I'm not saying you need to post it on the internet, but please find someone to talk to. I'm going to try to find some resources and put them in the link below. If anybody else knows any resources, please share it in the comments. If you need to share your story in the comments, feel free. I'm hoping that the comments are a safe space for everyone. If not, I'm just going to turn them off. But yeah, okay, that's all.